Hi there, Patricia here for Purely Gates Embroidery. Thanks for joining me. In this video, I'm going to show you how to get a little bit more out of some of your embroidery designs. The type of designs I'm referring to are red work, or they're designs that include open areas of running stitches. The first technique takes a design with open stitching, like this one from our Mylar Floral Monogram collection, or a redwork design, like from our Redwork Christmas Blocks collection, and color it in just like a coloring book using fabric markers. This is such a simple idea that results in a completely different look. To make this technique a part of your project, first you'll want to print out a template of the design you want to color. Use this template to plan which colors go where. I used colored pencils for this step. This planning will help prevent any uh-ohs on your project piece. For my project, I used markers that are labeled for use on fabric. I took a scrap of the same fabric in my project to test the markers for their true color on my fabric and to see if they bleed, and if so, how far. Using my template as a guide, I colored in the stitch out. Here is a sample using a redwork design. Here is a sample using a quilting motif. This would be a great project to get your child or grandchild involved in, or give it to them as a gift. Give them the stitch design block and let them color it. Then you can turn that into a pillow like this one, where we used a design from our Mylar Floral Monogram, or find a design that reflects an interest of theirs. They could color in the printout first with colored pencils, then the block, or just let them go with the markers. Another fun project idea to share with the kids is to use holiday designs and make a tree skirt out of their colored-in designs. The next technique I'd like to show you is how to use your embroidery machine to quilt. Many of our collections include a quilting motif, or again, you can use a running stitch or a redwork type of design. For this demonstration, I'm starting with a completed quilt top. I layered the quilt top with the batting and backing and quilted the whole quilt, with the exception of the blocks that I intend to put the embroidered quilt motifs in. For these blocks, the only quilting I do is a stitch in the ditch around the edges of the block. Now that I've quilted it in the conventional way, it's time to use the embroidery machine. If the machine is at the edge of a table, I move it further in on the table so that I can support the quilt and not have any of it hanging over the edge. I prep my machine by putting the thread I want to see on the back of the quilt in the bobbin and thread the upper thread. I open the design on my embroidery screen to see how it is oriented. This will determine which direction I hoop my first block. I'll usually work on the blocks around the sides of the quilt first. You want to hoop the blocks so that the bulk of the quilt is over on the left side and not underneath the arm of the machine. This also means that some blocks will be hooped upside down to avoid this bulk. I will wait until all the quilting is done on the embroidery machine to trim the excess batting and backing. Sometimes that extra fabric and batting beyond the quilt top is needed when hooping a border or a block near the edge of the quilt. To hoop this block for the embroidered motif, you will not use any stabilizer. Use the hoop grid to make sure you're hooping the block straight. Carefully carry the hooped quilt over to your machine and slide the hoop on. I will advance the machine to the first stitch of the design, which will move the hoop. Now I check to make sure that none of the quilt will get caught or prevent the arm of the embroidery machine from moving. I pull up the bobbin thread to the top of the fabric to avoid a knot forming on the back of the quilt. To do this, I loosely hold the end of the upper thread and press the needle down button to lower the needle and again to raise it. Now pull the upper thread until it pulls up the bobbin thread. Holding both the upper and bobbin thread, I start the machine. The machine stitches the tie-off stitch and then starts the design. I stop the machine and trim the beginning threads, then push start again. Watch the design stitch and make sure that none of the quilt falls into the hoop area or slides off the table. Now let's watch it stitch. All right, now let's look at the completed design. These are the same steps I would use to stitch a repeated motif in a border. Here's examples of some Purely Gates quilting motif designs as used in our project samples. I hope you enjoyed this video. Check out the entire line of Purely Gates embroidery design collections featuring Mylar embroidery on our website purelygatesdigital.com. Thanks for watching. If you haven't already, check out my other video on Mylar embroidery to see a cool way to get the look of metallic thread by using the embroidery threads you already own. Thanks for watching.